Hello, welcome to Now Chat Show. I'm your girl Kaz Mac.
And I'm your girl, Miss T.
How you all doing today? If you're in the UK, mate, the weather is peak outside. I don't know about this. I don't even want to complain, Miss T, yeah,
I love
but
it. I've got no complaints. I'm so happy about it.
I just want to go and sleep. You know, you just feel so tired right now. It was so hard to produce this show because I just feel like I'm running on tomorrow's energy because I just feel so drained from the sun. I just want to be by the beach. I need some sea. I need a
hear
breeze.
you. I feel
Concrete
like I want
jungle
to
is
just be in
not
some
one, babe.
water. Yeah, no, it's not the one. And I did
It
think
really,
about it. I even spoke about it today. Like, I want to be in some water, but I'm still
yeah.
enjoying it.
Well, you know what? The only water I'm going to be in is in my bath and the shower. That's the only water that I'm going to be dealing with
Hey,
today.
listen, cold
Trust me.
showers are the one. They're supposed to be really good for you as well. Try it.
Babe, so I've been listening to 19 Keys and various different, really thought leaders and with higher level conversations. And they've all been talking about this cold shower thing. So I thought, okay, if I'm going to be successful, let me start having a cold shower. You see, day 3. Mate, it was a wrap. It was a wrap. But I must admit, the last 2 days, I've been having a cold shower. Not because to be successful, because it is so hot,
Hot.
just to cool down the body. But when I went sauna and steam the other day, because apparently when you go into steam and sauna, it opens up your pores. So I said, all right, let me just go into the cold shower as well. And I kept on
Did you
doing
do it?
it. Yeah, it felt
Well
great. It
done.
felt so edified and
Refreshing,
uplifted.
energized.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I felt really good. Yeah, so that was cool. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to try and continue doing that. I'm going to try and do it for the night. Not try, I'm going to do it for the next 21 to 30 days because they said it takes 21 days to create a new habit. So if I keep on doing it and then do the second cycle, then that's going to be 42 days and do a third cycle, then that's 64 days. Challenge. Listen, mate, I'm on a ball, So today's guest, we have an amazing show lined up for you guys today, and it's all about self-employed versus employment. We do have 2 special guests that's going to be joining us very shortly, and yeah, it's all about self-employment, employment. I mean, gosh, like since COVID, so many jobs were just like gone from furlough to redundancy. And I don't know about you, T, but I've always known there's no such thing as job for life. But what I think during this whole pandemic, what it really highlighted to us is the importance for us to have more than 1 or 2 or 3 streams of income. So at least with one bus, that at least you've got 3 to depend on, rather than dependent on the state itself or wherever it is. If you even get any support from wherever you're actually watching this live from. But what's your opinion on regards to it all, Miss T?
I mean, I've always kind of been taught. Oh, I thought I froze just then. I've always been taught to have a little side hustle, like to, bring your little pennies together. So, have I frozen? No, I haven't.
No, you
Sorry about
haven't.
that. Yeah, so I've always kind of just known how to do a little hustle and have money elsewhere other than the main job. So
Yeah.
it's
I
been
mean,
something that I don't know. Cottage industry, like, back in the day, people used to, service for service. Oh, I make this, can I swap that with you? And I
yeah.
really feel like that is absolutely coming back around, because I've experienced it for myself, and I quite like that. I really like it. It's not quite. I
Yeah.
really like it. So,
Well, you
and I
like
know
the juggling of it, or like the hustle of.
I just like that, people are using their creativity, whatever that might be. We've all got levels of creativity that we can access to help us to maintain our lifestyles. And I think that when you access your creativity and what makes you happy, you become more abundant. So I know that there's a lot of people that during the lockdown decided that, you know what, this job thing, this 9 to 5 is not for me, you know?
Yeah.
And they decided to go out and, you know, work for themselves, or, you know, do whatever it is to make themselves happy. You know, I, for one, I've gone back to school and I didn't think I could, but I'm doing it and I'm loving it. I really, really am.
Okay.
So
That's interesting. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually, I'm going to play a video, and yeah, let's have a, I'm going to play this video, and I feel this would be a great way to like open up today's conversation. Yeah, because yeah. All right, let me.
Not the technical guy. I focus on the mental aspect of business. I focus on the part that go on in here. Because if you fix what goes on in here, you got a shot now. And you, technical ain't nothing if you ain't got it set up. So the dream is the core of everything. That dream, man, it's biblical. You know, man without a dream or vision shall perish. That's about you. Education ain't even in the Bible. I ain't never read nothing about Harvard, Emory. I ain't never heard no Ivy League scriptures. I've never. All it talks about is that dream. So that's the core.
Got the essence of it.
Pardon?
I got the essence of that, yeah.
Yeah, I know it was echoing, guys, but you know, I did try and grab it from EYL's Instagram, but they don't give people permission. However, I managed to screenshot it, and I just thought that would be just a nice foundation of this conversation, based upon some gems that Steve Harvey actually shared whilst he was being interviewed by Rashad and by Troy, and that's on Earn Your Leisure. So I will put the link of that actual show into the bio so you can watch the full 2 hours plus conversation. It was absolutely phenomenal. Steve Harvey just threw so much gems out there. And yeah, I'm going to get this conversation started. So before we get started, Miss T, do you want to introduce our first guest?
Yes, please. So our first guest is none other than Nana Agyeman, and he's a community activist and a social entrepreneur who has amassed a wealth of experience in the welfare to work and youth engagement industry, stretching over a 20-year time span. Nana and the co-founder of African Caribbean Careers and Employment Support Services, Access, established the social enterprise stroke charity in 2012 following the London riots of the previous year. To date, Access UK remains one of the leading BME careers and employment solutions specialists in the country, working tirelessly of young Black Britons who are unemployed.
Wicked. So we're going to bring Nana into the show very shortly. Before we do so, we do have a second guest. His name is Earl J Newman, who is an experienced professional with over, say, 20 years experience of working for several organizations in central government and in the public sector, including HMRC, DCMS, and the Big Lottery Fund, Nottingham Gate Housing, Camden Council, and Clarion House, and the Department of Work and Pension, and much more. He's also got a business as well, which he's going to tell us a bit more about. It's called Music in Brands. So without further ado, let's bring our guest onto the show. Welcome, Nana. What's good, Earl? How you guys doing?
I'm good. You?
Yeah, we're just talking about the weather, how beautiful it is outside, and we are not going to complain, right?
No, we can't complain. There's no point in complaining. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So how are you, Earl? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all good, you know. Everything's good. Yeah. The heat is killing me, but I'm not complaining again.
Remember the language of the spells in the words. The heat is not killing you. The heat is making you hot.
It's not killing me. Yeah, it's roasting. That's what I'm saying. I'm losing weight as we speak.
Oh, that's amazing. I think everybody is feeling that vibration right now. I'm not losing anywhere. I still have to go to the gym and watch what I eat. The heat is not making no difference for me. I'm just saying. So it just makes me sweat. All right. So we just played a clip from Earn Your Leisure, where Troy and Rashad interviewed Steve Harvey. Did you both get to see that clip? I know it was a bit echoey, but did you both get to see it? Oh my gosh. Rotted. I'm burning sage, and I accidentally burnt a bit too much. Oh my days. Lord of this mercy. How could this be? Okay, I'll just leave it there. Yeah, it was I think it's because I've got the fan on and now it's like oh yeah. T, continue.
Don't let us have to call the fire brigade from here, you know. So yeah, as Kaz was saying, did you see the clip with Steve Harvey and what he was saying? And what did you think? Anybody can take that question.
The brother can go first.
With me?
Yeah, go for it, brother.
I don't know. I think for me, I don't know. I just see it as with us. Even the topic we've got, self-employment versus employment. I feel like for us as Black people, I feel being self-employed is very important in terms of what you were saying. I feel that you have to have a drive, you have to have a goal, you have to know what you're focusing on. And I believe that you should be always trying to monetize what the skills that we do have. You should be trying to monetize them on a daily basis. And that will give you some power and agency amongst yourself and what you're doing. So I think those things are really, really important. I'm never really one for those motivational speaking sort of videos because I feel sometimes they don't fill all the other little gaps that are going on, and it doesn't give you a true reflection of what really happens when you're an entrepreneur or you're self-employed. It's a rocky road. It's very, very, very tough. And the danger is sometimes we see a lot of these presenters, they're showing the aftermath, like when they've made it. The real story should be what we're doing at the beginning stages. Those days when you do not think you're going to make it. Those days when you're not even sure if your idea is gonna land or resonate with people. And I feel those are the most real journeys those are the journeys that we should be picking up, because that's where the best teaching comes from. You know what I mean? 100%. So, in my opinion.
100%.
I agree. I think that we shouldn't paint the fairy tale. Everyone should know, like, this is serious. It's hard work. You're doing it for yourself. There's no holiday pay. There's none of, like, let's not pretty it up. Let's talk about the real, get to the nitty gritty, what it is and what you're gonna have to put out. So I agree. No.
Early mornings, late nights, time spent doing the preparation, the foundation. That all comes into, but everybody loves a winner, isn't it? Everybody loves a winner. They don't want to hear about the struggles he had. How many of these big time billionaires and millionaires were bankrupt before they quote unquote made it? How many failures did they have before they finally made it to their destination? Yeah, so you have to give the whole picture rather than just a segment of it where everybody wants to talk about, i.e. the success. Another thing as well I want to pick up on quickly is the title itself. It's a bit, it's not self-employment necessarily versus employment. A lot of people are now doing both. They've got the side hustle that we were talking about earlier, and they're working alongside their 9 to 5, maybe with the aim of transitioning from the job into being fully self-employed and self-sufficient. So it's not one or the other. It doesn't have to be. It definitely doesn't have to be. I've been on both sides of the fence, so I think I'm quite knowledgeable in this topic. So hopefully, as we go on, I can add my little nuggets and bits of advice as we go along.
Yeah, and I second that again quickly of what Nana said in terms of we don't have to pit those two things against each other. It definitely is a case of when you need to lean into one, lean into it, but still build on the other one. So it depends which way you're going, because I always think everybody should be trying to move to self-employment at some stage anyway. For us as black people, I say that because for us, there's so many barriers in the sort of 9 to 5, the average 9 to 5 world. So many barriers there.
100%.
If we create our own lanes and we patronize each other, that is a way of giving yourself agency and control and building economic bases that all of us can build from. Because once you've got that economic base, then no one can really touch you from the outside. So all the discrimination and all the things that sort of happen to us, we're not saying they won't happen, but what I'm saying is, if I'm trading with Nana and I'm trading with you, Kaz, it's like if we're building that economic base between each other, it almost is irrelevant what else is going on outside. We can keep building and we can bring other people in and et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's where the legacy comes in. I'm going to stop there.
Okay, all right. I really do sincerely apologize, guys. I did have a bit of a internet connection issue, so that's the reason why I'm just jumping on. I didn't really catch the scope of what was discussed, but I'm kind of like gathering based upon the shared clip. That's where you guys was leading off from that conversation. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we were just talking about it. Yeah.
All right. Mm-hmm. So with regards to like employment versus self-employment, you're correct. It does, it's not against one or the other. I just thought like it's an interesting topic because, you do have some people that are self-employed who've always been self-employed, or they've come into a household where both their parents worked independently and they've never really had to go work for somebody else. Do you know what I'm saying? So they've been exposed to that kind of way of thinking, where there's the majority of us that hasn't had that kind of way of thinking. It's very much been like, I know from the household that I came from, it was very much of go and get a job. It wasn't even about education. It was just go and get a job. It was just get a skilled job and that's it, done. There was no room for, to have any visions or any dreams. And if there was any dreams or vision, because hence the reason why I played that Steve Harvey clip, it was more about, the visions, because we all have visions and we all have dreams and aspirations. But as we're growing up, those things either get shunned, with whether it's going to be in the household or it's from, like, say, your peers or from the school system, the education system. No one's really kind of pushing you to explore those areas. It's more just rooting you, packing you up and go and get a job, or packing you up, continue with your education, and you just still find yourself not particularly happy in your current situation in terms of the job that you're doing, etc. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So,
going back to school, going back to your point you made about school.
Yeah.
I mean, very, very few people I know got good careers advice anyway.
Mm-hmm, true.
And the careers advice I know most people had, my peers had, was a negative one.
Very.
So there's obviously preconceptions about what Black people can do and cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
There's a famous scene in a Malcolm X movie where, it describes the moment that he decided that education was not for him. When he told his teacher he wanted to be a lawyer, and then the teacher said, "That's not realistic for somebody like you. Why don't you try to be a carpenter like Jesus or some other nonsense that he was trying to push him down?" And that experience resonates with so many Black people in this country and the Western world. You have notions of what you want to do, but the system you're in is pushing you another way. Maybe it might be sports, it might be music. So unless you have parents that are very strong in their values and in terms of kind of guidance, a lot of people give up or deviate from their dreams or what they could potentially do. We're not just good at music and sports, we're good at everything. But
I understand
that fire gets killed often very early in the education system.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but the thing is, Nana, when you look at, say, today's society, the main thing that seems to be like what we as a people is good at is entertainment. Do you get what I'm saying? And that's where I find in like more people is more aspired or more moving to the direction of.
But that's by design. That's by design.
I think we're funneled. Yeah, I was going to say, I think we're funneled. We're funneled to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's by design. That's not. That is by design.
I wanted to just actually say that, when you're at school, they don't actually encourage you to start your own business. That's not what school is really about, is it?
No.
Not at all.
So even that fact,
particular schools don't do that, because what I've learned in the education system as well is that there's particular schools that they have access routes for young people. The students that go to their schools, they have access routes into banking, into the legal sector.
Absolutely.
Those gateways are already created. So when those young people are coming into the school at 11 years old, when they go on the tour, they're already telling them, this is where you're going.
Yeah.
The last prime minister came from this school. They're already having that conversation at 11.
Absolutely.
By the time they get to 14, they've already got the curriculum mapped out that they're going to go into the banking sector. They're going to go here. They're going to go here.
100%.
Medical. So most of our kids are going into sort of the state schools. They're learning about Christopher Columbus. They're getting miseducated. So by the time they get to 14, 15, when the careers officer says to them, do you know what? I think you should do warehouse work. They haven't had anything else fed to them. It's like your car, isn't it? If you don't put the right petrol in, it's not going to perform properly. If you're feeding young people dud information, then where are they going to get the aspiration from? So that's why you do find a lot of the kids, maybe they might lean to the drill music and this and that, because that's what's being pumped out every day. Pumped out. You could have nothing today and you could have millions tomorrow if you sell these records. But that's not real life. And I think for us as the parents and the elders, we have to keep showing our young people, no, you can be a doctor, you can be a paramedic, you can go into science, you can go into engineering. And it needs to be a lifestyle. It needs to be every day they're seeing these images and they're being fed this information. So then by the time they're 15, 16, they're already saying to you, I've already seen these companies here. When I finish school, I'm going there. But
100%.
Our kids are getting excluded at year 8, 9, and 10. So what happens to them? I got excluded in year 10 and I didn't do anything. I'm not even saying this as a cliche. I didn't do anything. I got excluded for talking to them over a period of time because I used to finish the work. I used to finish the work really fast, and then I'm looking around like, what should I do next? So I used to try and help my friends, and the teachers took that as you're being disruptive. I got put on report, and then systematically, I kept getting thrown out of class, then you're suspended, then you're out of school. I didn't hurt no one, didn't rob no one, never harmed no teachers, nothing. Not a menace to society. But I got excluded, So it's like when that happens to all our young people en masse, it's a big problem. Like what Nana's put up that statistic about 50% black youth unemployment.
Yeah.
How? So you can see that something's going on, but we have to try now and reset the table. We can't keep looking at these stats and being like, we're not surprised, but we're always like, oh my God, this is what's going on. We have to put plans in place to do that. So like the young people I come across, I'm always telling them, shoot your shot. What do you want to do? Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time? Right, let's walk it back and try and get you to that place. And there's no ambition that they've got that is unachievable. But if you don't have the options, you don't know how to do it. It's about us providing the options and changing that mindset. Like what you were saying about a lot of us are seen as entertainers. That's because society wants us to be seen like that. And if we start stripping that down, and we're doctors, we're lawyers, we are ministers, etc., that changes the way for the next generation that come through. And that's where we are now. We're in that place where we have to be unapologetic about it and literally change the mindset of our young people and our adults as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
100%.
So I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but how do you see the solution of us changing that mindset? Because I mean, it's not just the next generation, like you mentioned, it's the parents as well, it's us as adults, even including myself, because obviously we've been programmed to think and to be in a certain way. So how 100%. Do we unprogram ourselves so that we can become a lot more, entrepreneur mindseted and not so fearful believe, things that we have been discussing on the show for the last, say, several weeks. How then do we do those things?
You know what? Let me just put this out there. One of the reasons why we as a community complain from morning till night about Europeans and whoever is because of our dependency on them.
Of course,
so the sooner we kind of break that dependency, the better it is for us. So, for instance, my eldest daughter just graduated from Exeter University, where she's done law. Okay.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Before she even went in the first year, I told her when you graduate, you need to look towards setting up your own practice with your fellow graduates. So she's not going into that university to get her degree to think, you know what, I'm going to be at the mercy of somebody that don't look like me again. So you just, even though you're more educated, you're still at a position of a weak position in terms of that power dynamic, right? 70 or maybe 80% of this country, in fact more, are white. So invariably, your employer, the chances are your employer is going to be a white person. So at the end of that chain, where we've encouraged our children to go and get educated, so they can get a better job, have a better life. At a point of completion, they're still at the mercy of somebody that doesn't look like them. So the point is, we need to be educating our children from an early age to become employers rather than employees.
Come on.
Right? Now, not everybody amongst us can realistically become employers.
Yeah.
But in terms of the percentages within our community, it definitely needs to be a lot higher.
Yes. Okay.
You see, there's a thing that goes around a lot, and it makes me laugh when I see it. It says that the black pound's worth 300 billion pounds sterling annually. Yeah, have you seen that? The black pound? They say it's worth 300 billion. Have you heard it?
No,
have you heard that statement?
No, I haven't heard that statement.
Okay. Well, it's a statement that's been going around the community for a very long time. Well, out of that so-called 300 billion, about say 260 billion of that money comes from the Asian community, right? So they are generating within their circles 260 billion pounds sterling on an annual basis. Now, right now, we've got a situation where Boris Johnson's coming out of power. He's resigned, and other MPs are vying to assume his position as PM. Right now, do you think those Asians that are contributing 260 billion into the UK economy care who becomes PM? They don't give a damn, because they're doing for self.
They're good. They're good.
They're creating opportunities for themselves. So when their children go to university and they graduate, they can go potentially work in a family business or set up their own business. So they can employ somebody that looks like them, somebody looks like us, or whoever they want. It's their choice. You understand? So until we break that mentality that we're always going to be dependent on somebody else for a living and survival, we're always going to be in the same position. And what I'm saying is nothing new. I'm not saying this thinking, this is something that's been around in terms of philosophy for hundreds of years, right? In terms of our people being in the West. But what we keep on doing is we always try to reinvent the wheel, like it needs to be reinvented. We don't need to reinvent no wheels. The solutions are there. It's always been there, but we keep on repeating the same mistakes year in, year out. So this is in terms of solutions. That is the solution, because racism is economics. Of course, right? Racism is not just someone calling you the N-word and whatever. Racism is economically based. And to what extent it affects you is dependent on where you are on the socio-economic ladder. So because we're at the bottom of that socio-economic ladder, that's why we always feel it the worst. They're talking about the cost of living crisis. Who do you think that's going to affect the most? Who do you think that's going to affect the most? Yeah, it's going to affect everybody, but who do you think is going to affect the most in terms of that ladder?
Obviously, it's us, isn't it? People.
There you go. So if the higher we go up, the less we are going to complain about Europeans, complain about this one and that one collectively. It's about group economics. That will solve half of our problems that we have. But anyway, I'll let other people chip in.
No, but I mean, we're having a conversation, but you've raised some valuable points, Nana, and I've been hearing about, obviously we need to become more dependent on within ourselves, but I could only talk about myself personally, and this is not me trying to to put myself down, but I feel that every time I try, like me and you have deep conversations right now, yeah? You give me tools, you give me advice, Kaz, you can do this, you can do that, you can do this. Have I gone out and done those things? No. So my question is, why is it that I'm not doing those things? So why is it more easy for me to just go and work for somebody else, do whatever they want me to do, rather than me try and create the things that I know that I can do? So it's a mindset that I feel like is I question myself, do I want it that much? Do I really want it?
You know what? End of the day, look. Most people, let's be clear. This entrepreneurial thing is only, if you look at percentages, it's only a small percentage of people in society that even go there.
That's right.
That's a fact. So don't believe that fallacy, or you're losing out, or you're an oddity, or you're a strange person.
But that's not what I'm saying.
It's a small percentage. So what you're saying, what you're describing, applies to most people, even those that are supposedly motivated, right? But it's about challenging yourself to break these mental barriers that we all have. That we all have. It's do or die. Now, the reason why most people opt for the option of a 9 to 5, because you've got the surety that after this length of time of employment, that you're going to get a sum of money that's paid into your account, right? So you become complacent within that. Comfortable, but most entrepreneurs are risk takers. Some take calculated risks, some don't. But to a certain extent, at the core of their being, they are risk takers. And that's what sets them apart from the majority. It's that ability to take risk. Remember, when I started Access, I had a decent paid job. Working for a leading welfare to work provider, getting a decent wage. I had my little side hustle on the side, doing buy-to-lets, etc. I was comfortable, right? But something propelled me to leave that 9 to 5, use my own money, my own resources to start the company or social enterprise. We have one piece of funding for 2 years. We done it. Me and Chris done it with our own resources. We built up our track. And then basically, I think we made most of the bulk of our money that we invested in the business back within our first contract. But it was a risk, because that money could have been given to my children. I could have done X, Y, Z with it. But I chose to set up a business that's linked to supporting young Black people into education, employment, and enterprise. A lot of my friends were looking at me like I lost my mind. Okay? Because remember, a lot of this stems from a lack of belief in your own people anyway.
Yeah.
But the risk that I took was not just based on my passion, it was based on a calculated risk, understanding the market, understanding that by me setting up an organization, that's specifically looking at Black youth unemployment, I'm creating a niche within a niche. Mm-hmm. I couldn't compete with an Ingeus and Maximus, whoever, based on just employability. It had to be something that's different from them. So what ended up happening was the so-called big boys in the game would approach us and say, look, can we partner with you? So we know that you're culturally competent, you know how to address Black youth unemployment, and we're the big boys, we've got the resources, we've got the money. That's what ended up happening. But that was a calculated assessment and risk that made me, that positioned myself and Access UK in that lane. So risk takers, being an entrepreneur involves a certain level of risk, and it involves a certain level of also understanding the market you're in, and taking, the most people that that are millionaires, they never got, they never tell you about the kind of the pitfalls of taking that path.
Like some of them are starting to do so now.
Yeah.
People are starting to talk about it now to let people know. Do you know what I mean?
That's
they didn't just arrive there.
That's good.
But I think at the same time, it is, you know, it's going back. I think it was Tremaine made them. She said that, you know, a lot of us, it's the fare, it's the programming. Do you know what I mean? And even though you're saying that there's not much of us that will take those risks, not much of us is like entrepreneur mindset and everything else. But I do believe we all got a level of entrepreneur mindset inside of us.
So why do we act on it? Why do we act on it then?
It's because of like what Tremaine mentioned. It's the fare and the programming.
Absolutely.
It's also the comfortability. It's also the comfortability. People, let's be serious. People are lazy and they like their comforts. So it's also that as well. It's not just fear. You know, some people to stay. But that, I don't want
that is a part of the fear. It's part of the. I mean, look, a lot of our parents' generation had no choice but to be entrepreneurs. Because they came into a hostile environment where you go to look for a job and there'll be a sign saying no blacks, no Irish, no dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why that generation was more entrepreneurial, because they had no choice. In fact, if you look at the data, even during the lockdown and the COVID situation, if you look at the numbers of millionaires that were created during that time, it's mind-boggling. Right? So a lot of people, what that tells you that a lot of people become millionaires and successful through necessity. Their backs against the wall. So by their back being against the wall, it creates that mindset where, you know what, it's a do or die situation. I have to do it. Right? Now going back to our parents, what's happened is that after kind of the illusion of inclusion was pushed into our communities, we forgot about the communal thing. We forgot about the partners. We forgot about financing each other's businesses, etc. Right? And we want to be assimilated and accepted into the system, as it were. And in doing that, we lost our innate ability to create for ourselves, to do for ourselves. Yeah. Right? Because now, if I approach you, Cass, and say, you know what, Cass, sis, let's do something. Cass says to me, you know what? Do for what? I've got a 9 to 5. I've got a car. I've got a mortgage. You know, my kids are being educated. Why do I need to do something with you for? The system's there helping me, supporting me. That's the mindset we brought into, which is a full sense of security. And that's why we're in the same position. We've actually regressed as a community off the back of that over a long period of time. We've regressed. If you look at, for example, house ownership, business ownership, it's all gone down and declined because we bought into that illusion. It's an illusion. It's a complete illusion. You know, someone sent me a video the other day about the richest families in Ghana. 70% of those richest families were all Lebanese. Right? So my question is, can me and you go to Lebanon and become, and create businesses that are making more money than the Lebanese people in Lebanon?
Absolutely not.
You understand? So anyway, I'll let someone chip in.
So what are you going to say about that? I mean, what do you have to add on to that, Earl?
No, I totally agree with that. Like, people that know me, I'm like a broken record when I'm talking about even just like resources like hair products, all these things. I shouldn't have to go outside the community to buy those things. You know, it's annoying because when you look at how much money is generating on those, let's just use hair products alone on its own. Hair products on its own, that already would put a lot of us in a great position. We were owning the stores and we were selling these things. But what we're doing, our money is going out. And then when you look at reinvestment now, we're not reinvesting in each other. So when you look at this country that we're in right now, as much as I'll flip back to the entertainment thing, we can go on television and we can see ourselves on certain TV programs. But I was speaking to a person a couple of weeks ago and I gave them a challenge. Find me a black neighborhood in the UK, a thriving black neighborhood in the UK. And what I mean by that is one that's got a bank.
Sorry, I can hear someone's background noise. It's your house. I think it might be your house, Earl. Have you got headphones?
Nah, I have, but they're not working.
Oh, okay, all right. We just have to, guys, just bear with us. Everyone's at home, you know, like when you're at work and now you're doing Zoom, and then the family comes in and the cat comes in. Well, this is what we're dealing with, yeah. So it's not professional television. It's just called live on Now Chat Show, and anything goes. Just saying. All right, continue.
Keep it real. 100.
Yeah,
but I was saying
no.
I was saying to them, find me a black neighborhood in the UK that's got that core base, supermarket, school, you know what I mean, bank. There's nowhere. And that's a problem. That's a big problem that we've got. You know, there's other things that we've got going on as well. But if you just even start there, I can go to any other community and I can find their shops, their restaurants, their banking systems, the whole lot. I know that if I went to Chinatown to try and get a job today, I wouldn't get one. They wouldn't hire me because they would hire within the community. You know what I mean?
Well, they do actually hire some black people, but it's the levels that they're hiring those black people.
I'm talking like supervisor.
That's what I'm saying. The levels, it won't be on the higher management levels or anything of that nature. You'll be washing the pots. And
it shouldn't be like that. But that's kind of where we are right now in 2022. So my whole thing at the moment is like following on from what Nana was saying, is looking at how do we patronize each other and support each other. And you don't have to. We don't have to do this big thing that it has to be a big surge. You start small. I could just start with you guys. All four of us here could start doing something from that, and then we meet another set of like-minded people, and then they bring in another set of like-minded people, and that's how you build it and you grow. You don't have to. What did they say? What is it? Small bricks help to build a big house. So that's all we need to do. And if we do these things, drip feed it in, and reinvest in young people. Young people are the key right now. If we can get them mobilized, who knows where the future will go. But until we sort those things out, we're always going to keep coming back to this place. You know what I mean? 20 years ago, the same things that I saw when I was a teenager coming out ready for the world, the same things are here today. It's madness. You know what I mean? And I think going back to the topic, self-employment versus employment, I don't see nothing wrong with 9 to 5 if you map out what you're trying to do. So to me, if you're 18, 19, you should be like, well, saying to yourself, right, I'm going to join this business. I'm going to learn what I can learn. I'm going to take some of the skills that I could pull out for myself and monetize those things. In the meantime, I'm going to try and save for a mortgage. I need to work out what my credit's doing. I need to work out in 10 years' time, what foundations am I laying for my kids if I have them? I need to find a good partner who is on the same thing so we can mobilize each other and we can create a kingdom for ourselves. Now, that's a small plan, but to me, if you've got those steps there, what you were saying earlier about yourself, Kaz, where your confidence goes up and down, if you've got that plan sitting there in the background, even when you have your bad day, you know you got to go deal with that plan. Mm-hmm. So if it's not day 2, maybe day 3, you might jump up and say, you know what, let me brush that off. I'm ready to go again.
Yeah.
But you got to write those goals down and stick them somewhere and have them there as a staple. And if the people who you're meeting are not fitting into that plan, you have to brush them off. Mm-hmm. You have to brush them off because some of us ain't coming on the journey. You know?
100%, brother.
100%. Season, lifetime.
That's the truth.
And but I mean, definitely, in terms of what you're saying about the plan, that's something that I implemented from, I think, in my early 20s. I realized, I can't remember how it came about, but I started with a 5-year plan, and I moved on to a 10-year plan, and I would review my plans. Sometimes, you have to do a little bit of jiggling, and, things change. But having a plan, because if you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. Mm-hmm. And, even with our children, for I have 2 teenager children, I don't tell them about going to look for work. I tell them about, well, what are you going to do for yourself? What are you going to? One of them's learning how to speak Mandarin, and that is because the biggest language spoken in this world is Mandarin right now. Yeah. Mandarin, then Spanish. So she's doing both because I need you to be in those sectors taking over. That's my plan.
Yeah, nah. And the thing is as well, like I said to you, with the 9 to 5, like for me, for example, my journey weren't easy. I got told from early that I weren't going to make it. I got teachers telling me I'm going to go to jail. I'm not going to be here. And then, like I said to you, that careers advisor that I had told me to do warehouse. You know, so when I was 18, 19, I was written off. Not from my parents. My mum was cool. My mum was always driven, telling me, right, do this, do that. I had my uncles telling me. But when you're out with your friends as well, sometimes you can get distracted about what's going on. You know what I mean? Whether it's like women or hanging out, or you can get distracted. But it was only when one of my friends came to my house. I was sitting at home watching music videos, and one of my brethren came and said to me, "Listen, what are you doing? Like, what are you actually doing?" And he kind of pulled me out and made me start applying for some jobs. Applied for a little Safeway job I had at first. Just getting that job mobilized me. Just making that little bit of money and having to wake up and have a routine mobilized me. Then I went back to college, West London College. Went there for 2 years as a mature student. And the thing was, because I was a mature student, I couldn't play about when I was there. I weren't ramping when I was there. I didn't do any of the common room stuff. My assignments weren't on time. I weren't messing about because I knew if I don't do this, what do I do next? It's game over. So when I finished and I qualified for my business studies course, when my friends were going uni, I had to make money. So I said to my friend, you know what? I'm gonna go Trafalgar Square and I'm gonna get a job in Trafalgar Square. I don't know doing what, but I'm gonna get a job down there. I went down there, signed up to a couple of agencies because back then it was easier to do agency work. Signed up to a couple of agencies, and that's how I got into the Department of Culture, Media and Sport. And when I was there, I was the only black guy there, and that inspired me more than because when I was in there, I was looking. The first thing I do when I go to any organization, I still do this even now. When I go to an organization, a 9 to 5 organization, I'm always looking for us when I go there. So when I start, I'm looking. I'm like, who's here? Who is here? So when I joined DCMS, I'm in there and I'm looking around. I'm like, there's no one here. The only man that I see is the security guard on front desk, right? But then, because he sees me as well, every morning this guy is giving me little gems. He's telling me like, do this, do that, focus on this, focus on that. So I took it as a challenge when I was in that workplace. Like, yeah, I'm the only black man in here, but you know what? I'm going to win. I'm going to win when I'm here. And that's what was motivating me. It was more like, if you're telling me I can't do something, no, I'm going to do it. That's going to give me more inspiration. So when I was going in, one of the things that I did, you lot will probably think this is mad, but I remember I was in the workplace and I saw one of the directors. No one goes and talks to them. So I just walked into the director's office. It must be the Northwest Londoner in me, innit? I walked in there and I said to him, like, you all right? He's like, yeah. He goes, you're the new assistant that's here. I said, yeah. So he goes, so what's your plans? I said, well, actually, can you tell me how to get in your chair? And he said to me, what? I said, can you tell me how I get into your chair? Because that's where I'm looking to go. And he was like, you know what? I like you. You know, all right, I'm gonna show you certain stuff. And he started showing me little things in the department. He told me to go and shadow certain people. But just if I didn't ask him that, he wouldn't have told me. And I've always kept that blueprint. If I join a workplace, I'm looking at positions. Where am I going to be? Because I see myself as a king no matter what. I'm looking for that boss position when I go into workplace. So when I go in, I'm like, I'm doing this role here, but I'm looking to level up. Every 3 to 6 months, I'm looking to crash into another department or take another role or just be sitting ready for when that manager leaves. Okay, put me in there. I'm good to go. I don't know half the time what I'm doing. I'm not going to lie. I pick it up as I go along, but I believe that I'm supposed to be that person. So I adopt that role. And I think anybody that goes for the 9 to 5, that's what you should be doing. Don't look at it like, you know, when we see these videos, JOB, just over broke. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're a millionaire, you're right. But if you're not, you got to start from somewhere. True. Build up your knowledge. Use that company as a blueprint for yourself. Almost like the Trojan horse. You go in, you learn, You take the resources that you can, and then you build on the outside. It doesn't mean you can leave the business altogether. Just build. Stay there, learn, maybe even move to another job, but keep building your thing in the background. And eventually it will go like that, where at some stage you can do that thing and you can go run with it. You know what I mean? That's what I think we should all be doing if we're not in the position to say, right, I'm going to go all out on my own. I've got the resources, I'm fearless, bang, I'm going to go.
100%.
Yeah, flip it round and use your 9 to 5 as your side hustle, and use your main business as the thing you're building all the time.
I love what you're saying there. I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Lisa Nichols. Are you guys familiar with Lisa Nichols?
No.
Right, so basically what you've just said is literally been her story. And what she was saying is, for her working, she saw it as it was an investment. It was investing into her dream. So what she kept on doing, she kept on paying herself 10%, 10%, 20%, 20%. She didn't have no idea what this dream was going to be, but she just knew that the white people, she wanted to be in them level, because white people at the time, what she could see is the ones that had the money. So she would go to these meetings. She would actually basically just instead of she wouldn't do nice things for herself anymore. She wouldn't eat out. She wouldn't get her nails done. She wouldn't, she sacrificed and kept on saving. And I think it must have been like 5 years. She went to the bank to go and see how much money she had put away in the bank. Because every time the bank statements arrived, she wouldn't look at the bank statements because of things that she was hearing from when she was growing up, like money burns my pocket and all this kind of stuff from her mother, etc. So she just wouldn't open those envelopes. So she went to the bank. When she got to the bank, she said to the clerk, yeah, my name's Lisa Nichols, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, oh my God, you're that woman that's saving into your dream. What's the dream? What's the dream? So she's thinking, why is these people coming to me and asking me, like, what's the dream? So when she asked him, she said, look, I don't know what the dream is. I just know I just need to put some money away. So I just came here just to see how much money I had. She had like something like $64,000 that she'd been saving up. She doesn't know nobody in her family that's even got like $1,000, much more less for her to have 64,000. She had no idea what this dream was, but because she had the intention, the determination, because she was put in a situation, she just said, you know what? I'm not going to raise my child what the world is telling me that's going to be my child as a single mother bringing up a black boy. She just wasn't making that lifestyle. The woman is one of the most, she's on the set, she's been on Oprah Winfrey show and all of that kind of stuff. I will put the link of her story into this actual show as well, guys. So it will be in the content. But I found that story really encouraging, and listening to what you're saying very encouraging, because I do have the understanding, which a lot of us do as well, is you need money to be able to do the things that you need to do. So if it is that you have a dream, you need to have money. So you have to, get that money. But what I love what you said is in terms of growing your skill sets. So you're learning. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's where, for myself, I'm going to only speak for myself because it's only me that I can talk about me. I didn't have that mindset. It's only of recent, since my circle has changed, that I'm starting to have that mindset. My circle was very much about, we just get a job and we do whatever we've got to do. It's just a survival thing. And I'm not dissing my people, because at the end of the day, we can only do what we know. But as your circle changes, it should be changing for you to evolve. You understand what I'm saying? It should be changing for you to better the version that you currently are. So if you've got people around you that are not elevating and they just want to go rave, or they just want to buy the latest this, that, and the other, and they could even offer you a drink of a juice, you're going to have to question that. So we have to take responsibility as well for ourselves. So going back to, I think it was you, when you were saying about what's the goal? What's your intention? What are you trying to do? Where do you see yourself in the next, say, 5 years? Coach Harlow talks about vision boards. Vision boards are so imperative, especially in a time like this, when you know what you kind of want in the next, say, even the next 3 months, 6 months, then you know what you're working towards. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing. So I think all of these things do play hand in hand.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
I think the key The key what you basically said, you've said it, Kaz, is mindset. If you don't have the correct mindset, then you're not going to achieve these things. And so, it starts off by, like you said, creating those good habits. Sometimes it's not easy. So you have to persevere and say, right, this is what I'm going to do in order to change your mindset. So at the moment, what we're saying in terms of, especially what Nana was saying, is the children. They're going to inherit the same wrong mindset. So we have to turn that on its head first, because at the end of the day, as parents, we model the behavior. Like you were saying, the lady that you was talking about, Lisa Nichols, she heard things from her parents that put that fear into her, that made her not want to see. It starts with our mindset. And we have to change and model a new type of behavior for our children. Otherwise, the cycle is going to be on repeat. And for me and like my household, my children, I've said, no, I'm not doing that. You're not, I don't want you. You're not going out to, I've categorically told them from when they're very small as well. You are a queen. You are a king. You will have your own. I speak it into them. They don't want to be at school. They're just like, Mommy, when are we leaving? I don't need to be here. That's what they're like. Every day they're like, still got to go to this school. Like, why? Because they understand what the process is, why they have to go there. And I'm like, just give Mommy I'm on it. So I'm constantly reassuring them that we're still sticking to the plan. Do you understand? So we have to. Mindset is so important. And, I know you said before that the fear, and I'm sorry, and someone said it in the comments, not having those excuses. If we keep making excuses, we're not going to get any further than we are now. At some point, we have to say enough is enough. I'm not doing this. Change the mindset. And it starts with the children. But in order for the children to get it right, we've got to get it right first. We've got to show them. We have to model the behavior. Yeah.
And I think that's the key point. You see, like what you said there, that's why, you see, like even the story I just shared with you, that's when I do meet young people, when I meet anyone, I always try and share my experiences, good and bad, because for me, if you're not the poster child for what you're talking about, it's very hard to tell somebody, do this, but you do that. It's like, if I told you all now, yo, listen, don't smoke, you shouldn't be smoking, but I've got a spliff right now, and I'm saying that to you, it makes no sense. It's an oxymoron. It's like, why? But a lot of people try, like the older generation used to always say to us, do as I say, not as I do. It don't make sense what you're saying to me, because I'm watching you no matter what. And if you're showing me hypocritical stuff, now I'm confused. So you see that with me and my kids, I'm showing them one message. When they see Dad, he's not playing around. He's going for what he's going for. He's shooting his shot. He's backing himself. And that's what I've put into mind, so that even if you come up against a roadblock, there's a way around it. There's a solution. Maybe today you haven't found it. Maybe you might have to lie down for 3 or 4 days and then it will come to you. But you can't give up. You have to back yourself. And there's nothing wrong. I think there's nothing wrong with being afraid. I think we should all embrace that as well. There's nothing wrong with being afraid. Because sometimes you're going to... I get afraid when I do public speaking sometimes. And I have to public speak every day. But every like 5 minutes before I have to do a meeting or whatever else, I get nervous. I get butterflies all the time. Are they going to listen to what I'm saying? Am I projecting my voice right? Little stupid things come in your head. But it's then...
I have it even just to do the live. I'm nervous.
Yeah. But then it's showtime. It's showtime and you've got to do it. You've got to perform.
Yeah.
Well, this is what we've got to put into our young kids. Maybe even as far back as when they're 6, 7 years old. And you're just talking it to them, you're drip feeding it. So by the time,
the earlier the better. The earlier the better.
So by the time they're in secondary school, they're like, there's a team debate. Sign me up. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Not boy, the body language is all in. You know what I mean? We need to make our young people just feel empowered from early. What we're telling them, but they will only see it from us. If we're not projecting that, they're gonna look and think, because we are impressionable to young people. And right now, young people, the ones that you're seeing on the road at the moment, a lot of them, yeah, they do. Some of them do lack a bit of respect, but at the same time, you got to say to yourself, why is that young person like that? And then you got to try and unprogram that and unlock it, because every young black kid in this country has got potential. They just need to know what that thing is, and then they can ride with it. And it's our job to do it. It's our job to, you know, when I see young kids on the road, I talk to them. Sometimes they tell me to go move myself, and then you just move on to the next one because I'm annoying. You know what I mean? But that's what we've got to do, man. We have to see ourselves as one community. And until we do that as on mass, not just us here, little sprinkles, on mass, then it will change, but it's going to be slower than what we want it to be. You know what I mean? We need to do it all at the same time. You see a young person, you see an older person who ain't moving right, talk to them, show them the solutions. You know what I mean? That's what we need to do. And I know it's been repeated on other shows, other podcasts, whatever else, but I live this 24/7. That's my philosophy. I already know Nana does. I can hear it. First time I've met him, but I can see it. Miss T in the corner, Kaz, you know I know. So if we're pushing this energy out all the time, there's going to be people that are in the chat or whatever that will see it. If I'm touching one person in there, it's job done. Me and that person can connect, and they pass it on and pay it forward. And we just keep doing that, and it will change. But our young people are the key, and we just got to. We've got first. The thing we got to do is maybe try and minimize their time on the TikToks and all that stuff, and get them learning more about economics. Start with that. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And also, you know, guys, those who are actually watching as well, if you can share this live, that is how we actually build our community. You know, just sharing this information. I'm not just doing this because, you know, oh, I just want to be seen as free. I've already shown you guys, I get nervous doing this thing. You understand what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's about community. It's, you know, you've got individuals like Nana, you've got individuals like Earl, Miss T, who's doing amazing things within our community. When we start talking, guess what? Things start changing. When we start sharing information, things start changing. Mindsets start changing. We always keep on it. It was an interview that I had with a lady called Dawn Hills yesterday, because it's Fibroid Awareness Month for July. And what she was saying is that how, for her, as being an advocate for women who suffer from fibroids, she took the responsibility based upon her, what's happened to her story, because she was tired of hearing people from the US making movements, doing the research and everything, and we ain't doing nothing. So she said, I'm going to be that voice. And I find, and I'm not dissing, please don't take it as a diss, because I'm really not dissing, but unless it's about gossip, unless it's about entertainment, unless it's about all those things, people are not interested. Do you know what I mean? Right now, we've got like maybe about 50 people.
100%.
If it was anybody else in the USA, you'll be interested. If it's anything to do with rap or whatever it is, you'll be interested. But when it comes to our mindset, it's only a certain proportion. I know there's only like about 7.9% of us black people in the UK. I get that. There's not a lot of us here. But why can't the lot of us that is actually in a small amount be so much powerful?
100%. You see, there's heavy investment in dumbing down the population, not just the black population, everybody. There's a machine that's there, that's been well oiled or well financed to keep people at a certain vibration, a certain level of thinking. So if you don't know how to break out of that cycle, then you're just gonna get caught up. All right. Going back to your point that Earl made earlier about learning the trade, as it were, so you can do your own thing, vital. Because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing with Access UK now if I never had my grounding from a 9 to 5, which taught me the basics of what I do now. It gave me the foundation of what I do, but obviously it's tweaked to have maximum effect with black people, but the foundations were there. So definitely learning the trade, taking the good and applying it there as a self-employed person is essential when you're working. Don't just work for the sake of it to make someone rich. Take something from it and do something for yourself if you can.
Yeah, but even with that, you have to be like wired up to thinking that way. Because remember what I said earlier, I've always just worked in a job just to survive. I never knew that how it was, it's down to me that I should be going into these jobs to gain experience and take that information and then better myself each time as I go up the ladder. Do you get what I'm saying? I didn't see that. I didn't understand it. Some of my peers did, clearly, but I didn't get that memo, or I just wasn't open-minded enough to be able to receive that because of a certain kind of way of thinking.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, a lot of people in our community that are quote unquote successful, they seem to have a crabs in a barrel mentality, whereby, for example, let's use myself as an example. Okay, I've got mentors older than me that have been in this space for 30, 40 years, right? Some of them have got big titles, this, that, and the other. Now, when they saw me setting up access, they could have private meetings with me and say, look, no, do it this way. Don't do this, don't do that. I had to learn everything from scratch. This is why I make a point now of teaching people how it's done. And I do it for free. I don't want no money, no nothing. If anyone calls me and says, you know what, Nana, how do you set up a social enterprise? What's the do's and don'ts? I will go out of my way to help that person. But when I was coming up, learning a trade, nobody was there. So I made a lot of right moves, but also made a few mistakes here and there. That could have been avoided if I had a mentor or somebody to say, you know what, don't do this, do it this way. And I think it's that whole thing of people want to be the king of the castle. So they can look down on somebody and say, look at me. Look what I've done, rather than saying, you know what, let me share my knowledge so I can bring another person up with me. Because being successful can be a lonely place. And being successful as an individual black person is not going to protect you from structural racism. Go and ask billionaires like Oprah Winfrey, Tiger Woods. They'll tell you. Oprah would tell you by the time she went to a shop, and they wouldn't let her in because they thought she was going to come in and steal. She would tell you by the time she went to go buy a bag in the shop, and the girl said, don't worry about that bag, you can't afford it.
Yeah.
Right? Because obviously what they see is this first before your wealth or who you are. So being that individual person that's wealthy and successful is not going to protect you. You need your kin, your family, your gang around you to protect you in that space. So actually, it's mutually beneficial when you're successful as a black person to help somebody else.
Yeah. Totally agree, man. Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't drop the ladder back down. They don't drop the ladder back down for people. So it's disappointing. It's disappointing, man. Because what you're saying, we all have the similar story. Like there's people that are in certain spaces and they don't want you to be there as well, and they're not realizing that that's making the job harder. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. So that's why they say, go on.
Yeah, carry on. Sorry, continue.
No, I was just gonna say that if you look at, if you flip it the other way, if you look at racism, for example, racism is a team sport. You need so many other elements to make that thing happen. So when you're getting discriminated at the store, it doesn't happen if other things, the other mechanisms are not happening at the same time. So when you look at black economics, black employment, we need to be doing the same things. And it's quite a simple blueprint. But when everybody is standing on their own square, it makes it a lot more difficult. And that's why, you see, that even jumping on this with you today, I'm not going to hesitate to do these kind of things because we're not getting paid to do this. But if we can reach people and someone else gets a light bulb and says, you know what, for time I should have put some money into X's business. Let me go and buy something from them. Let me patronize that store. It's like what I told you, Kaz, about your thing.
Yeah, and you know what? I want to publicly, because Earl is one of our sponsors. He sponsors by every month. He basically said to me at last month when he saw me going back and doing a live, he said, Kaz, how much is it for you to do the StreamYard? And I told him, and he said, all right, I'm setting a direct debit, and he pays it. He pays for the StreamYard, because like for the last, the last 5 years, I've been doing Now Chat Show. Janelle's contributed, Coach Carla, Andre, all these people around me is the one that are financially and given their time, Chantel, Mama, all of those people, I just want to big you up, because I would even put up the cash app, and it's only one person that say, yo, Kaz, Priscilla, boom, here's our money. You understand what I'm saying? That went to pay for the canvas so that I can do the creation. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right now, I'm just trying to do the content. I've got Kwame who goes over it. Janelle goes over it. Miss T. I'm just one person, but I cannot do everything. And it costs money to be able to share this information as well. But everybody else will contribute to Netflix, yeah? And pay the how much and pay your YouTube so you don't get advertisement. But you're not even going to contribute to something that's giving you information that's going to feed your mind and elevate you. I don't understand.
Yeah, we've got a self-destructive mentality in our community. You know, as we you know, we're probably one of the few people on the earth that always do things that counter our own self-interest. If you look at things that we do on a daily basis, we're one of the few groups of people that do it on a consistent basis, where we do things and it has no benefit to us whatsoever. Yeah, as a group of people. So, yeah, it's a worldwide problem. It's a worldwide problem.
But yeah, but I definitely think we need to. I think going back to the subject though, when you're looking at self-employment, I definitely think those young people that we're targeting, that 50%, half of that sort of figure can reduce if we can turn them into the next entrepreneurs and literally give them the infrastructure, give them the mentorship, give them the guidance, find out the financial 100%. Packages. That's one of the key solutions, and that's something 100%. We can do it. We can do 100%.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, but I do feel that, you know, like some of the young people that I do come and I have conversation with, they're not trying to do what I've been doing. They're not trying to work for people. There's a percentage of young people that are just not doing what we done. They're just like, yo, if I'm going there, I'm only there temporary and I'm gone. I'm doing my own thing. So they've already clocked on quite quickly. But again, it depends on what they're seeing within their household and what they've been exposed to.
Also, Cass, what you have to understand is that mentality can go either left or right. So a young person, for example, growing up in London, who's struggling, who's trying to do the right thing, but will do 100 applications, get no response. They might think, actually, you know what? My guy down the road told me that, you know what? I can do my own thing by doing certain things I'm not supposed to be doing. Yeah, I could be my own boss in that way, right? So that entrepreneurial spirit, it turns into criminality. Okay, because the mainstream or the wider society has rejected them. They've blocked all the pathways of them doing quote unquote the right thing. So it becomes much easier now to get sucked into an alternative lifestyle. Understand? And when they go to the job center, or these organizations that are supposed to be there to help them, they're not necessarily trying to show them, you know what, young man, you can own your own business. You see that little skill you got there? You can monetize it by doing X, Y, Z. So invariably, the only solutions they're given is training, education, or a job. That's why when I set up Active with Chris, we were focused on the 3 E's, which is education, employment, and enterprise. So many of our programs are around supporting young people to become self-employed, start a business from inception to whatever. If you look on our platforms, a lot of our things are around how we support young Black people into that space by giving them the right information and giving them the right guidance so you can do it. They're not going to get that in a job center, I'm afraid. They're not even going to get that in mainstream career services, because that advisor that's on the other side of the desk, their focus is get them a job. They're not even thinking that young Black person is capable of running their own business and making lots of money. Do you understand? So we do that on one side, but we also show them the fallacy of that street life. We break down all the myths, all the kind of a lot of these preconceptions that people have got. Majority of them is all rubbish, right? Majority of all that stuff is all nonsense. Everybody wants to be a shotter. Everybody thinks they're a criminal. So even on that basis, you know that market is saturated. There's not enough. You can't get enough of that pie to make you live a certain lifestyle you want to lead. So you're just doing it for the sake of it. But if I show you a coup with cryptocurrency or property investment or forex trading, even the business of music, where we look into other things in music you make money from besides rapping, singing, and making beats. What else can you do within the music industry to make money that you've never been told about? This is what we're trying to expose our young people to. Different pathways of making money. And a lot of the time, it's much more than you make it on the street. Because once you've done your little re-up and you've gone back and dropped off what you need to do, and what you have left, you're not making nothing. Yeah, really, in real terms. Understand? You might buy your little trainers, whatever else, but as you get older, you have a child and you have responsibilities, that don't mean anything. And it's only those at the top of that food chain that actually live in that lavish lifestyle. But actually, when you count the hours you're putting in, count the danger you put yourself in, it's not even worth it. And this is what we're trying to expose to young people. The reality of certain lifestyle is all mythical. Top Boy and all this other nonsense on TV, it's not really realistic. And you have to be in that lifestyle to really see the fallacies of it. So that's what we try to do, impart that knowledge and show them down the right path by giving them the right knowledge. Yeah.
And just to add to that, Nana, we absolutely need to stop glamorizing that lifestyle. And that's what has been happening.
100%.
Glamorizing that lifestyle. Because music industry, I know a lot of people in the music industry, and unless you are a writer writing the music and keeping hold of those rights, you're getting paid pittance. Unless you're going to be the lawyer that's reading this fine print, our young people are getting scammed. So let's talk that. This is what they need to understand. Those people that are out there that are wearing the watches and got the cars and everything, they only got a little, what would they call it? A little advance.
Advance, yeah. Advance, yeah.
Doesn't last, So we need to give them the reality of what is really happening and stop glamorizing, Top Boy and all the rest of it and all this grime music. Because ultimately that is keeping them in a trap and, again, affecting the mindset,
And I think we have to
110%. Yeah.
I think we have to clearly reference as well, just in case we've got some young people watching. When we're saying young people, I think we're more talking about the needs. Because there's a lot of young people that are killing it out there. Don't get it twisted. There's a lot of young
Carla
people.
just mentioned that just now.
Yeah. There's a lot of young people. They're accessing the social platforms. They're doing all the right things. But it's our needs that we're talking about. The ones that are disengaged, the ones that are being exposed to certain things. They're the ones that we need to get and change the direction of their lives, because they're the ones that are at risk. They're the ones that will be out on the road and police will them and they don't know their rights. And
but you know what? I'll put a little caveat on that, because this has come up quite a few times where we think that, okay, I don't know how old you are. I think we were probably roughly around the same age. When we was growing up, right? I've said it so many times. Some people get it, some people don't. When we was growing up, on the roads or on the streets, whatever, there were cliques of criminals that done their thing in every area, okay? But there was a clear distinction between, quote unquote, the good guys and the bad guys. And also, the bad guys respected that, them men over there, they're not really on it, yeah? They're doing their own thing. They're following a different path. Sometimes they were even protected, right? Coming back to the present age, the youths on the streets, they can't distinguish between an A-level student and someone that's out there drilling or doing whatever they're supposed to be not to be doing, right? They're all dressed the same. They're all I remember a time where I remember a time where you could distinguish where someone comes from by the way they're dressed. I could be on Kilburn High Road and tell you these men are from Grove, these men are from Kilburn, these men are from Bridge. Yeah. Right? By the way they were dressed.
They were dressed straight.
How are you gonna do that in 2022?
You can't do it. They all look the same.
Even
the gang them all look the same.
There you go. So the so-called guys that are doing it and whacking it, they could get caught up in the wrong side of the fence and actually get caught up. So it's not just the needs that we need to focus on. We need to focus on all of them, because the lines are so blurred. You've got uni kids that are going to uni carrying knives. Why are you carrying a knife for? Going to uni because they feel that they live in the same environment and they're fearful that they might be attacked. So let me carry a knife and protect myself. But these times you're going to university. So their lines have become very blurred in the present age that which didn't exist back in when I was 20 years old or 21 years old. I think that's the distinction we need to make, that just because your child is academically strong does not prevent them from getting caught up in the madness that's out there.
I mean, even with you even saying that, I mean, look at, say, Dr. Mark Prince with his son.
Yeah.
Prime example. His son's future was bright. And then look what happened to him.
Yeah, it's a village. Yeah. It's a community, and I feel sorry for them, because, like I said, we never had to contend with that. We never had to contend with, if I go down the road, obviously you had separation in areas, but invariably we could go anywhere. I remember being stranded in East London, right, with my clique in East London, and we walked halfway back home to Kilburn.
And no one don't trouble you.
You understand? What was we doing in East London? We could go to East London. We could go to South London to all day.
But now they're talking about postcode and all this bullshit.
Even within your own postcode, there's splits and there's division. One block to the next. This is the current situation we're in. Yeah. So if we don't guide our so-called good youth in the right way, they can easily get caught up in that stuff as well.
But then how do we then educate those individuals as well? Always wants to be on the live. I don't understand. Why is
I'm so sorry. She's like, she just knows. She wants to see what's going on. She actually
catastrophe.
Trying to block her from different angles.
Let her be in the live, man, and done.
She loves me. I'm good to her. Oh, she's here now.
Yeah, but going back, so how do we then, I mean, obviously the work that you're doing, Nana, and obviously the work that you're doing, do you find, Nana, doing Access UK, do you find you're reaching those young people where they're at? I mean, are they coming through your doors? How is it?
It's a mix and blend. You see, what my work recognizes is this, because a lot of people are kind of misinformed about what we do and what people like myself do in this space. What we recognize is that there is a particular stereotype of young Black people, which invariably is flawed anyway. So whether you're a graduate or whether you're out there, getting up to mischief, there are barriers that face you systemically in the UK. So what we try to do is we work with a wide spectrum of youth, from your, like I said, your graduates, your undergraduates, all else in between. So we see all different sides of the fence, as it were. Do you understand? It's not just the so-called bad youths or whatever. It's the whole nine, the whole spectrum of young people. And what we try to do is that we try to create things that are very tailored to them, and also understanding that, you know what, you're not insulated from what's going on out there. How to kind of navigate that space, that concrete jungle. Whether you're a graduate, whether you're a criminal, whatever you are, how do you navigate that space? How do you avoid, being stopped and searched and be violated? How do you, as a black graduate, increase your chances of finding employment, or increase your chance of setting up your own business? These are the pertinent conversations we have with them, which they're not going to have in the so-called mainstream providers, because they're not structured to do that. They're just structured to give generic stuff that don't mean anything. If you look, for example, on our platform, on our website, every Tuesday is dedicated towards a Black historical figure. Okay? Now, why do we do that? We do that as a form of motivation for young people. When they're seeing people in history that have achieved certain things that look like them, it changes their mindset. Because what do they know? Most of the stuff they know is negative about them. Black History Month comes. What do they find about? How Black people were enslaved and put on boats. What else do they find about? Nothing else. So what are they doing? They're rejecting that history. I will reject it too. Why do I want to hear that? Why do I want to hear that rubbish for? Do you understand? So a lot of our stuff is to kind of show them there's a wider history and a wider perspective that you're not even aware of. which underpins everything you do, the mindset. So once you get the mindset correct, everything follows. As a man thinketh, so is he. You understand?
Yeah.
You are what you think. So that's why we do it. You're not going to get that in a Maximus website or, you know, a Coda or Indius. You're not going to get that. But we do it because we're tailoring our services for our people for maximum impact.
That's amazing. That's, God, boy, that is what you guys are doing is just absolutely amazing. And guys, we did, Janelle and Coach Carla did interview Nana. That was about 2019, I believe. So if you want to learn more about his organization, I've actually shared the website, and you can also go back and watch the episode as well. I will put the link into the actual, you'll see in the description, so you can actually go into that and you can learn more about this awesome man and what he's doing for our community. Okay, so solution wise, so are you saying in terms of us, you know, like bettering our community, it's about us starting within ourselves, basically? Yeah,
Indeed.
and it's also about us supporting one another. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Because look, going back to the point I made earlier, we complain because of where we are in a socio-economic ladder. You understand? And our reliance on somebody that don't look like us to feed us, clothe us, and just keep us. So once you break that with dependency, naturally, you know, it's better for us. You understand? Everything will be better for us because you're relying on yourself for, you know, than them to support you, you know, to support you. So that's for me. It's a lot of our problems are economically based. Once we can kind of understand that, we're halfway there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's about doing everything all at the same time. It's not about we have to do one thing and then we just need to do all of these things all at the same time. And it can be a slow, steady process, like seasoning the chicken. You know what I mean? You just take your time and cook it slow. Don't need to rush, but we need to just make sure we're doing all of these things at the same time. So it's investing in our young people. It's investing in our elders as well. Like, even though some of them, we might think their mindset is not there, it's still not too late. We just got to we've got to reinvest in every faction of the community, all of us. And like I said, it's a slow, steady process, but there's things that we can learn from the elders as well. But we got to be the pioneers and the champions. We got, like you said, we've got to start with ourselves. And once we do that, then it's easier to put the message out there. If you're living it, it's easier to do it. The big man that I never used to listen to was the man them that were trying to tell me philosophical stuff, and man had a tenants in his hand. You can't talk to me if you've got that in your hand. It don't make sense. You know what I mean? But you know what I'm saying?
But it's the truth, though. I hear what you're saying, because the thing is, you've got to lead by example, right?
Yeah, you got to lead from the front, and people will.
What about, hey, Earl, let me ask you a question. What about if the person said to you, you know what, young man, yeah, if you carry on going down this path, you're going to end up like me, drinking some tenants. Would that be better? Would that be better for you?
Advice. That's good advice.
Would that be better?
I've had that one, but then it's like it's still like, but why? Do you know what I mean? What are you doing? Like, because that's the thing as well. With me, I always think I could save everyone. That was me in the old days. So even that man that would tell me that, I'm now still trying to think, how can I help this? How can I move this guy forward? Surely he can't enjoy living like this. You know what I mean? So I think even that.
First of all, you have to find out why he's an alcoholic.
Yeah, it's about that, because a lot of our older community, they got demons as well. They're probably things that they wanted to do, and for whatever reason, they never got to do it. So sometimes even when they see us, there's envy there, but the envy is because they're like, that should have been me.
100%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
110%. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not too late for them, man. It's not too late.
Someone's put a question in the chat. They said they started a new business or something and they want to know.
Yeah, they said, any good tips to build my new business? I just been made out of a job. So they've just lost their job and they want to know how they can like build a new business. I've actually shared a link for this live, so if you want to jump onto the live itself, so what we do is make sure you are showing your face. If you're having some avatar picture, I'm sorry, I'm not going to include you into this conversation, but yeah, so Java, if you want to jump onto the live, I've shared a link. So if you just go through the comment, you know, you're more than welcome to come onto the live and share a bit more about your current situation so that Nana and Earl can actually advise you. Just bear with me. Is there? Oh, yes. Sorry, I'm just gonna plug it. This t-shirt, this Queen can. This is one of Coach Carla's merch. So yes, Queen. If you guys are interested in this t-shirt, do check out holler at Coach Carla for a t-shirt. Right, Joe P says "Feel the Fit and Do It Anyway" by Susan Jaffer's Essential Reading. So those are some reading materials that you could actually get, because you know what, reading as well, because I think it was you, Nana, I think it's on your Instagram page, and it talks about the best way to hide anything from a Black person is just put in a book, because we don't read. And I strongly believe that even if you just apply 20 minutes of the day to reading a book, you'll be so amazed how many books you would actually get through. You don't have to sit there for hours and hours, because we're living in a day and age, our attention span is very minimal. But just reading 20 minutes, you just put on your smartphone, set the timer 20 minutes, boom, you start reading. You'll be amazed how much you can get through by just applying that simple method every single day. It's like the other day, my friend Rachel, I'm sure she might be on a live or she might be watching a replay. I need to declutter. I need to declutter my yard, because, you know, when your house is not in, you know, it's upside down, it's showing where the state of mind is. And I said, I'm getting frustrated. I can't declutter. She said, Kaz, just apply 20 minutes. That's it. I did 20 minutes, bruv. I went into an hour and I was amazed. One drawer got cleared up on the next one. So it's just simple little steps that it just takes. It's just simple things. But anyway, you guys continue. Yeah. I'll get excited and just talk and take over talking about things that we're not supposed to be talking about. But anyway, yeah, continue.
Yeah. I suppose, I mean, you know, just going back to the theme, self-employment versus, employment. It's basically say, yeah, it's not one or the other. Just re-emphasize. I think it's important also to know yourself in this process, where you kind of what you fall under. It's really important to know your own self. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing or seems to be doing. You know, there's a lot of fake imagery out there on social media. People trying to be things they're not, and there's a lot of fake stuff. Don't be drawn in by all that. Focus on yourself. Look at your own challenges, your own strengths and weaknesses, and see what side of the fence you fall into. It might be a case that actually you're more suited for a 9 to 5. Once you've done that assessment.
But not all of us are like wired to be
110%. And if you're not, accept it. You're not, accept it. But invariably, you might be. You know what? There's a stat that I came across. I think it says like 40% of young people in the Black community want to be self-employed, right? But only less than 5% actually do it, right? For whatever reason. That's the data, okay? Now, part of that might be, they might go through that process and think, actually, you know what? Maybe I'm better off doing a 9 to 5. And if you are better off doing a 9 to 5, like I said earlier, have a plan, have a mission, have something you're working towards. Do you understand? Have something. My cousin is the owner of Afropop socks, right? A sock brand that is making waves in our community and a wider community now, right? I remember a time when he was doing like 2 or 3 jobs at a time, juggling 2 or 3 jobs. His partner was doing, I think, a job. Yeah, she's a teacher, right? Now he's in a position where his business is turning over. I'm not even going to tell you how much it's turning over. You might not want me to expose it, but he's making a lot of money. Okay, but he started off there, doing all these jobs, trying to make ends meet, and now he runs his own company that's highly successful. Do you understand? He had to make that transition. There might be somebody who is doing these 2 or 3 jobs but cannot make that transition. It's cool. There might be others that can. There might be others that can juggle both sides of the fence. So I think you have to be realistic with yourself and know where you fit into that spectrum, of self-employment or employment.
I agree with you that way, because I think even when you think about it, because like how we are all wired up individually different, yeah? So it could be a case where you may be able to help that organization the same way that you're working for, say, your employee. You could also be working for somebody else who is like, like say Steve Harvey talks about it. He says, I ain't got no education, I ain't got no degree, but I employ people that do have it because he doesn't feel that he's equipped to do those things. And it's acknowledging where you're at. And it's absolutely fine, because not everybody is out there supposed to be entrepreneurs and owning business, etc. You're just the person to just come with that great idea and say, this is how you do the marketing, this is how you do XYZ, do the project management, etc. And it's just knowing where you stand and stand there.
100%. I always use the analogy of not Dragon's Den. What's the other one? What's the one with Apprentice? Right?
Okay.
I remember I was watching one time with one of my daughters. She asked me a question. She goes, Dad, do you think this guy knows everything he delegates? Do you think he can do it himself? I goes, no chance. But he doesn't have to. He's a delegator.
Yeah.
You understand? So he tells you what to do, you execute it. But he doesn't have to. Alex Ferguson probably couldn't kick a ball to save his life, but he's one of the most successful managers ever. Jose Mourinho, I don't think he was even a professional footballer. Right? So there's people that are managers and delegators who don't necessarily know how to do it themselves. So you're right in what you're saying, Cass, in the sense that, yeah, it might be, your skill might be putting the team together to deliver the work. One thing it just brings me back to an important point, actually. A lot of the businesses that I've noticed in our community it's almost like a one-man band, right? So even with me, I think most people think that I'm here by myself. Like, no, I can't be 100 places at once. There's people that work with me that deliver the work for me. Rose CEO project we deliver in Brent, that's done by freelancers. It has nothing to do with me. Nana imparting my knowledge onto the beneficiaries is people that are skilled in particular. I've got particular skill sets that are delivering it for Access UK. Mm-hmm. Do you understand? So it's about learning that. Stop trying to be a one-man band. Stop trying to be a jack of all trades. The skill is in identifying people that can complement your skills. My social media, I don't know nothing about social media. My sisters run it. I employed someone now to run it. Interns have done it for me over the past. I don't know it because I'm not interested in social media. Unless it's connected to my business and generating income, helping me to kind of push our business forward, I'm not interested. I'm not on Facebook personally. I'm not on Instagram. I'm just not. I'm for a different world. I'm not interested. Do you understand? But I recognize that it's important in modern day life to have these platforms to support the business. Yeah. But I personally couldn't know how to log on, how to post up something. I don't know nothing. I don't have to because I've got somebody doing it for me. And I think this is what we need to. This is what we need to understand in our especially the community groups, is stop trying to be a one-man band. Stop trying to, take all the money for yourself, because you could be sick today, you could have an accident, everything stops. So it's about creating a team that you could delegate your, the work to deliver it for you. You still make money because you get, obviously, the more you perform, the more contracts you gain. And obviously, you take a percentage share out of the profits or whatever you generate. And I think this is something we need to change in our community as well. Is that one-man band mentality? It needs to go pronto.
But do you think the reason why we have that kind of mindset is because people lets you down?
Yeah, but you know what? I think that's that whole how we perceive each other as black people. Right, I could go to a Sainsbury's, right, and receive bad service. But I bet you most black people will go back to the same reasons again. And again. Whereas with us, we encounter people that mess us around, and it's like, you know what? That's why I can't deal with black people no more. Blah, 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 blah. All this is negative reinforcement. And it's all to do with that whole programming that we have amongst each other. There's people amongst us that are competent, and there's people amongst us that are incompetent. Sometimes we learn the hard way. There's people amongst us that they're very slick talkers, they talk a bloody good game, but the reality is different. We learn the hard way. I could give you examples of this myself, in my own journey, but it hasn't deterred me from working with other black people and identifying talent. There's lots of talented people in our community. We just have to find them and make sure we protect ourselves from people taking the PISS.
Yeah. Adzo Brixton and Zo F. Brixton says, how do we change it? That was his question.
How do we change what, sorry?
He said facts. I think you said it. So I think he said facts. Yeah. Okay. If there's any question, guys, please do put into the comment box. I'll just share the link for anybody that may want to come onto the live now, because I know there was a particular person that was saying about they set up a business and they've lost a job, so they wanted some advice. But we need you to come onto the live to elaborate more so that you can get the advice that you need. Or if you just send us a comment with a bit more information, that'd be fantastic. And those who are watching on Instagram, I've just shared the YouTube link so you can actually join us live, or you can just go into the bio, click the link, and you can go straight into YouTube, or you can go into our Facebook page or Twitch, and you can join the conversation live. I will not be holding this phone for more than, say, 5 minutes. So if you want to join, please do so that way, or you can just catch a replay. Yes. So, Ms. T, do you have any questions or anything else to add before we wrap up? T?
No, it's been an interesting, quite riveting conversation. I definitely feel like I loved what Earl said about the elders, because it's something that I've always said, that there should be intergenerational learning. There's so much wealth within, different layers of generations, and we can't lose that. I often see, before, back in the day when I was looking at businesses, there were always food shops or barbershops or hairdressers, and from then until now, we have grown. So I don't want anyone to feel like we're just mocking the thing and complaining, because we have grown. There has been a lot of growth. So, and even with, the pound,
Black Pound Day,
the Black Pound Day, and how it kind of come about and kind of pulled the community together. Yeah, I mean, we can have more initiatives. We have so much more to give. And I'm confident that we're going to do it. We have to be confident. We have to have that kind of motivation and inspiration. And I'm so grateful for Earl and Nana that they're on the ground and they're doing the work. But like I said, there's older people out there that have got a wealth of information to pass down. So I think that a lot of vocational kind of jobs, like the people that do have businesses, don't you need an apprentice? Don't you want to pass that information on? There's various ways that we can pull together and create more greatness. I'm confident about the community.
I think it's important to recognize that we come from, majority of us anyway, we come from a culture where we respect our elders. That's embedded in. Obviously we kind of lost our way a little bit in terms of the current situation, but we do come from cultures whereby you always have that respect. When I used to be an advisor many years ago, I always used to have problems with advising older people. And some of my European colleagues were like, "Oh, forget that. If he's unemployed, just tell him what to do." Or I always just find it difficult because of the way I've been brought up. So I always approach them a slightly different way than I approach somebody my age or younger. So I think that's there. So the intergenerational thing is key. It's key because like I said, I don't really believe in reinventing wheels. I believe in universal knowledge. There's core things that are universal. Core learning that's universal. It doesn't matter where you are, it's going to hold you in good stead in any environment. And I think instead of trying to learn it the hard way, learn it from the elders, learn it from someone who's been there, done it, and make sure that you avoid certain pitfalls of life.
Yeah, I agree with that. You definitely, auntie and uncle have to remain in the community, man. They have to remain.
110%.
Yeah,
110%.
I
was going to finish.
Brixton, sorry. Ansoff Brixton. His question was, how do we change the mindset of Black people so that we deal with one another in the same way we deal with others?
I was actually going to move on to that. I think Black people's mindset is changing already. I think there's a lot more of us doing the work than is being seen. I think what normally happens is that when the negative things happen, those are the things that get projected out in front of us. So then it makes you look like, that's all that's happening. There's loads of Black people out here doing stuff, loads. And I just think there is a sea change. We just have to keep celebrating the successes of the people that are doing things in the local community. Rather than, I'm not even picking on this person in particular, but rather than celebrating like a Skepta and like Asher D and whatever else, we should be celebrating Nana and Miss T and yourself, because you guys are the heroes that should be being put up there. That people are like, you know what, I want to be like you guys, because you guys are accessible. You're doing things on the ground. You're touching real people's lives. You know what I mean? That's what we need to kind of flip round. And I think when we do that, then we will invest in each other on autopilot.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
But I think the reason why you're finding that is because, you know, maybe I'm thinking kind of out of the box, but I think we are constantly looking for other people to be leaders for us, however that looks to us. Do you understand what I'm saying? So where you're mentioning, like, say, grime artists or artists and things like that, to other people, they are to them like a leader because they're at a certain level, they're earning a certain kind of money, they dress a certain way, they're in the limelight, they're seen on TV and things like that. Whereas with us, we're just like regular, ordinary people, so we're not seen like that. And of Brixton, he did say what amazes me is that Marcus Garvey did what he did without any of the resources we have today.
Yeah, you know what? This gets. I'll just answer that quickly. This question gets posed all the time, right? And there's a very simple reason why that is. Back then, we had no choice but to work with each other. We had no choice. So necessity, when you find it's a free history, adversity makes us work together. So whenever we get fed this illusion of inclusion, that's where we kind of forget about that. Back then, in the 30s and 20s, we had no choice but to collaborate. We had no choice but to put our resources together to survive. You know, so once it saw this kind of mythical thing of integration, then we forgot about all that. So it's not. Marcus Garvey was able to do it because basically the ground was fertile for him to have such a movement. You know, apart from the fact that he was a brilliant man anyway. It was definitely more fertile than it is now.
Mm. And going back to your original point, Kaz.
I'm listening. I'm just closing my phone.
Yeah. I just think at the end of the day, people do have to shift their minds in terms of the heroes they're looking at, because people can be looking at Asher, again, not picking on him, Asher D, for example, because Top Boy is on there. But for you as the individual, what is Asher D actually doing for you in that sense? If you see what I'm saying? Yes, he's on the TV, great stuff. How is that blessing your life, as the individual? But you, Kaz, right now, if I'm talking to you today, you are impacting my life right now, today. So I should be looking at you as that person. It shouldn't be you get dismissed to the side and let me look for the person that's on the telly to elevate me, the hip hop star, the R&B singer, because your song is I'm hearing your song, but I'm still broke, or I'm
there
still
you go.
low. It's the wrong way around. The local people that we have in the community, you know, the youth workers, you know, the nurses,
Social workers.
the care workers, the mental health people. Those are the people that we should be
Those are the
celebrating.
heroes.
Yeah, and we should be elevating those people up in the community all the time.
But you know what? No, you're absolutely right. But you see, to the flip side of the argument is this: those that have got quote unquote normal jobs that are successful, you know, your doctors, your lawyers, your architects, your cryptocurrency millionaires, wherever it may be. Once, to a certain extent, once they've made it within the hood, you don't see them again, right? I've got a friend who does these talks in the House of Parliament. I can't remember what they're called again, but basically he lines up all the prominent black people in the UK. You know, your top bankers, your MBE. He lines them all up to have a talk in Parliament. In other words, to inspire black people, other black people. The problem with that is this: it's only a select few people that are going to be able to go to that room in the first place. Also, if I lined up my beneficiaries, my young people, and said, you know what, tell me who these people are, they wouldn't know who they are. So basically, they're invisible role models. Yeah? They've got all the accolades, they've got all their pats in the back, they're earning a good salary. You know, some of them are millionaires, some of them, you know, they're comfortable, but they're not visible. They could walk past any of these young people on the street, they wouldn't know who they are.
Yeah. All
right. I remember saying that to you. I'm not even going to mention his name and kind of bring him into this, but I met one of the most influential black people in the UK. I met him about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and I was telling him, I said, listen, I can't believe an organization like yourself exists in this country, and I was blown away by what you do. But the problem is that if somebody like me who likes to get information don't know who you are, then I know there's hundreds of thousands of people in our community don't know who you are, and I think that's a problem. I think people need to know who you are, and it looked to me like it's almost like it's a community's fault why they don't know him. I said, no, really, it's incumbent on you to go out there and make it known, because what you do is very, very important. You understand? He's the leading figure in basically organizing black people to vote and have, you know, structural power within this country. But yet, the majority of people that I know in my circles don't know who this person is. You understand? So the role model thing, I think is more, they need to become more visible. They need to understand that the young person in the block needs to understand that you don't just make money by doing illegal things. You can make money from doing this, and this, and this. Yeah? You can make money outside of, you know, rapping and MCing like Skepta. You could be Skepta's manager. You could be, Lady Gaga's songwriter and make more money than Lady Gaga. You could be, you know, so many things you could be outside of what they're telling you and showing you can be. And that's what it is. It's like exposure to different pathways, different ways of making money, which they're not getting at the moment.
100, man.
Yeah. Right. Let me just check to see if there's any more questions, because we're going to be wrapping up real shortly, guys. As I mentioned, I've just shared a link. So if anybody wants to jump onto the live, this is your time to be able to come in and join the conversation before we wrap up, because we're going to be finishing at 11 o'clock, God willing. But yes, so I've got another question that came through on the Instagram. It says, our kids are killing one another. We get locked up at greater rates than others. Stop and search is now targeted at male and female, black and brown people. Do we have a choice about working together? Do we have a choice about working together?
I don't understand that question. Is it saying that we need to work together to solve the problem on knife crime, or
do we have a choice about working together? Well, I would imagine so, because that's what we really need to do, right?
Yeah, but I think knife crime is one of them things that it bothers me a lot, because it's not a black issue, it's everybody. When you look at the stats, everybody's getting stabbed. and it's
100%.
Why do they
100%.
always keep on making it as if it's a black thing when it's everybody's issue?
Because it's by design.
By design. The reality is that there was a huge problem in Scotland, a huge problem, worse than London, and
treated as public health.
They had to sort it out, and they sorted it out, and it's not been a problem. If they can do it, it can be done in London. All you 100%. Have to do, it doesn't. The wheel doesn't have to be reinvented. How did they do it? The same methodology that they had in Scotland. What it comes down to, it comes down to money and politics and power. They don't want it to be solved.
I've spoken on.
At the end of the day,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've spoken on. Major platforms where I've said exactly the same thing and shut the room down because I listen to their rubbish and break it down for them. And see, because remember, the mistake we make is that we buy into the myths. We go on TV and reaffirm it. So we go on TV, with our passion, say, you know what, our black kids are dying. Why won't they save us and why won't they do something? They don't care. They don't care about that. You're only confirming what they already believe. So I will go on the BBC or I'll go on the ITV and say, look, this is just like Earl said, this is impacting everybody. And I'll quote the statistics from Scotland. And the fact that Scotland was the knife crime capital of Europe, not just the UK, Europe up until recently.
Yeah.
And a public health approach, because they will only invest in solutions if they know their lives are at risk, as well as our lives are at risk. I remember watching. I'll give you an example of this, how this worked. I remember watching ITV, one of their breakfast shows, and I can't remember her name. Is this Susanna? Susanna on ITV, the breakfast. I think Susanna something, right? She broke down crying because she lives in Clapham Common, right? And there was a stabbing of a young person just a few doors from her house. So the chickens in a way have come on to roost. She is now it's direct, it's in her face, it's in her area. So she started crying. She was speaking to not Sajid David, she was speaking to the mayor.
Yeah.
And exactly, he brought it home to her. So I'm not gonna go on TV and start pushing their myths and their propaganda. I want to say to them, look, we're all in this together. You understand? And don't think that this is just affecting Nana and Leroy, and this is affecting everybody. I remember going on the BBC and reminding them that the first 3 murders of 2019 with a knife were all white. There was a young white girl that got stabbed in the back, died in the park. There was a white man on the train that got stabbed, killed, and there was a bouncer who got killed on New Year's Day or Eve in 2019. All white. So we don't, whether the perpetrators were black or not is irrelevant. A white person has died at a point of a knife. So that's just showing them that everybody is being affected, And I always remind them of that fact because that's the only way we're going to get an investment in the solutions. Public health approach basically means that you're working is a multidisciplinary kind of setup where you're working in tandem with other groups to address a problem. So instead of working in silos, you're working as a collective. Mental health, you got this, you got that, and you're working in unison to help provide like a holistic solution to knife crime, rather than working individually and thinking that I know we haven't got all the solutions and nobody else has, but in collaborating we can address the problem better. That's what the so-called public health approach is collaboration between different organizations and sectors.
Yeah. And the whole stop and search thing is just the thing they use. It's the red meat they use all the time to appease certain people in our society. It's to make it look like something's being done, and we're always that proxy. We're always the proxy all the time to be used to. If something's going on with the economy, let's throw the stop and search out there. Crime, let's stop these bad people. And when you look at what's really going on, like for example, in lockdown, you had over 80,000 young black kids stopped and searched with no further action. No one speaks about that. You got
how many? 80? How many?
1,000 check the stats. 80,000 young black people stopped and searched with no further action. So nothing found on them. They've just been violated and on your way. There you go.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
It's not right.
I mean, one of the biggest myths that's been kind of pushed onto the public is the whole notion that you can stop and search your way out of knife crime. So the thing, and it's so backwards, it's unbelievable that you think that I'll get stopped. It's just say I'm a young person, I'll get stopped in the street. They find a knife on me, right? They give me a slap on the wrist. What's going to stop me from purchasing another knife? Because knife crime is a mindset challenge. It's got, the knife thing is just a secondary issue because that's what we're looking at. But actually, it's a mindset because that's not going to stop me from buying another knife online and going out there carrying another one.
Exactly.
Do you understand? And also, talking about these NFAs, I think there's a 1 in 10 stops leads to the police actually finding the knife. Okay, but yeah, they'll go on TV and say, you know what, where stop and search is not a racist tool. It's intelligence led. My question to the police was this: if it's intelligence led, how come you're only finding one knife in 10 stops? Shouldn't it be higher? If it's intelligence led, you know that person's carrying a knife. It's not a case of let's search him and find it. You know by your intelligence that this young person is carrying a knife.
Yeah.
So it's all nonsense. But like I said, it's all there to appease the uninformed public and make them feel that they're doing something when actually it's not doing anything. That's not stopping knife crime. It's all about early intervention. It's all about the public health approach. It's all about, especially with the young black kids, teach them about themselves because you don't kill what you love. There'll be a hesitancy to pull a knife into another black person that looks like you if you love yourself and thereby loving an extension of somebody that looks like you. That's what it is. They don't value themselves. They don't value their life. So therefore, they're on ramp to take someone else's life. It's as simple as that.
But how can they value their life if they don't believe that their life even means anything?
There you go. So
I'm sure. I don't know about anybody else who's watching, but I didn't value my life when I was growing up. I didn't. I tried to take my life when I was 14 because I didn't value it because in the household, I didn't see my life being valuable. On the ends, I wasn't valuable. In the school, I wasn't valuable. So it was like, you're coming against all these different obstacles all the time. There isn't a safe haven there. So how can you expect a young person to feel that how they're valuable and they don't even know anything or their history doesn't even show them to say, you know what, you're king or you're queen or whatever, you're saying, you're just slaves.
100%.
This is why or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? It's all negativity.
This is why it's so important to educate us, our youth outside of that system. This is why it's so important. When I went to my daughter's graduation the other day, she nearly brought tears to my eyes when she reminded me of when I used to take her to Robin Walker's classes how many years ago. Do you know what I mean? And she was quoting me certain things that she learned back then that resonates with her even more now. Just saying. So where I might be thinking, I'm just taking her for the sake of it. Maybe she might learn something, maybe she might not. In 2022, she's quoting me things that she learned back then.
Jeez, look at that.
Do you understand? Which gives her value. And that's why the Saturday schools, people that actually teach our children about history is so important because that's part of the reason why you solve this problem.
Yeah.
You break that cycle early.
Yeah. And I do want to say this, like for those who are watching or those who are catching the replay, Access UK is doing amazing work. Do connect with Nana. We do have father figure. We have father to fathers. We have Man Academy, Manhood Academy. We have 100 Black Men of London as well. We have so many not-for-profit organizations that are doing things and they put themselves out there. Most of them are not even getting paid, y'all. And they're putting themselves because they are really just about creating a better generation and giving the information and the knowledge that we didn't get to give it to them young children. And even if you're a mother and you're challenged with your young person, I have conversations with certain individuals and sometimes people do get upset with me and I have to apologize because I do understand that You know, people are doing the best that they can do within their household. But we've got to remember, we have a responsibility. The education system that we have is not there for your child. They're not there to protect your children. They're not going to educate your child. They're not going to show the child about their identity as a black woman or as a black man or whatever. They're just not going to do that. What they're going to do is set them up to know what it's like to be in prison. That's why they've got a proof system and all that kind of shit going on right now. And they're just going to teach them to just go and get jobs. And like Earl said, go and get a job in a warehouse. Is Earl working in a warehouse? I'm not saying if that's what you're doing and you're good in it, that's good. There's nothing wrong with that because we need people to work in a warehouse. But what I'm saying is the education system is not going to elevate you unless you come from a certain kind of school and you're a certain kind of somebody. And if you look like this, it's very...
100% facts. 100% facts. And it's done so stealthily and so craftily that most people are not even aware of it. Do you understand? Because a lot of it is insidious and it is systemic. So because, for example, our young people are going to school and they've got a Turkish friend, an Indian friend, a Pakistani friend, and everybody's quote unquote mixing and blending, if you've done a survey, they wouldn't really know what racism is majority of the time. We've done surveys because it's so sophisticated in how it's executed, they're not even aware of it until they grow up and they start seeing certain things, how, you know, you try to get a mortgage, you get a decline. Try to get a job, you can't get a job. You try to buy a house in a particular area, for some reason you can't buy this house. You can't, you know. So it's more, rather than being in your face, it's more subtle, it's more insidious. So it's about obviously teaching them how to navigate that space. And that, like you said, they're not going to get that in school. They're going to get that from parents and alternative education. There's I don't know if you know about the National Association of Black Supplementary Schools, as an example, right? And the BAS for short. And they've been doing, NIA has been doing lots of good work in that space where they're providing that alternative education, Saturday schools that our young people can go to and get a different perspective on life. You understand? These are all there. These are not hidden. These are things that you can access, you know, and get some support in. You know, Manhood Academy, as you mentioned earlier, the rites of passage. All our rites of passage, you know, Andrew Mohammed, the work that he does with WYLA and all these people, they're there, you know, and it's about us countering that big machine that's been well-oiled and well-financed to dumb down our people, adults, young people, everybody, dumb us down. So we don't know what to do. You know, we don't know whether we're coming or going because we'll be constantly pumped with rubbish. If you're constantly pumped with rubbish, it's only rubbish that's going to come out.
You know what just came to my mind? And I know we've spoken about this before. If, you know, like every single person, we said it's like about 7.9% Black people in London, yeah? Or in the UK, should I say. If we were all to put in £1 and set up our own schools and everything, you know, it's so simple.
Yeah, but you see, if you don't know the value of setting up a quote-unquote black school, why would you invest in it? This is the problem. Black people don't believe in themselves.
Islamic schools, you see Jewish schools, you see all of those kind of...
But they believe in themselves. They value themselves.
Absolutely.
They see themselves.
But this is the thing. This is what I'm saying. It's like even just having these kind of conversations, even if you was to say, okay, this is the pot, this is the plan. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, you know, we heard Dr. What's his name? Uma Johnson talks about this. Yeah, I haven't seen the school personally, but, you know, we had this conversation. I'm not dissing you, don't come for me. But I'm just saying, because we went to a meeting, remember that time? And I saw you at that meeting down in Brixton. I felt like, where have I come to? I felt like I went to like a Malcolm X meeting. I felt all pumped up. And then 2 days later, I felt depleted because there was things like, you got all hyped up. And then it's back to humanity. There is no movement.
Yeah, but I tell you what though, just to kind of come off of that, a group of my elders have set up the Black Equity Organization. I think it stands for BEO, right? Which is, to my surprise, the first national Black-led Black organization, civil rights movement in the UK. national movement in the UK.
BEO.
And for me, yeah, BEO, Black Equity Organization. Okay, it's got lots of figures in it. Some of them that I don't particularly like, but I don't have to like them. The point is, you've got a vehicle now to rep our interest as a collective. Yeah. So instead of us complaining on WhatsApp groups and marching and signing petitions all day, you've now got an organ that you can funnel your complaints, you know, whatever it is, to, and they'll lobby on your behalf. Do you understand? Black Equity Organization. So, you know, for me, that's a positive movement. They're obviously an extension of OBV, which is Operation Black Vote, which 90% of my circles never even heard of. You know, OBV was more about galvanizing a black vote, making sure we're using our block votes in power to leverage to get things done for our community. But it was never ever done effectively. If, like I said, most people in my circles don't even know who they are. So BEO is more of a kind of a cross section of concerns that we have that they can advocate for on our behalf.
I've just shared their website into the chat, guys. And if you catch the replay, you can also get the information from there as well.
Absolutely. So we need to plug into sources of information when we need to organize so we could get better results in the end.
Amazing. Okay, so we're going to wrap up. So is there any last words or any quotes or inspiration tips or anything that you guys want to wrap up the show with?
No.
Any inspiring words or?
Any inspiring words? I'll let Elle take this one.
Do you want me to do it? I would say, I think for me, I just think back yourself. Like start there, back yourself. Like I've had to adopt that philosophy for myself in trying to move certain things forward. And if you can be the best you that you can, then that is going to help to inspire other people. That means everything that you are saying or doing is coming from an authentic place, then people will trust you. They'll trust your message, they'll trust where you're going, and they will make movements. You can't use the old "do as I say, not as I do" thing now. You can't run that. You got to be about it. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm thinking. Be about it.
Okay. The only last thing I have to say is that, you know, we can't wait for anybody else outside of us to find value within us. We have to find the value in our community, in our household, in ourselves. So just mirroring what you're saying, Earl, like we have to find the value. We have to create the value, and the value is there. We just have to link it up and do the collaboration because we have such a huge skill set amongst us. But, you know, everybody needs to stop working in single silos and, you know, put down the nonsense and say, boy, come, because time is of the essence. Yeah, we don't have a lot of it. And we need to come together quick, sharp. It's time.
Amazing.
What would I say? You are what you think. So going back to this mindset thing, you are what you think. If you can positively influence how you think, you have positive outcomes. It's as simple as that. I think if you work on that premise, a lot of good things will happen in your life, you know, as a byproduct of the right thinking. And also there was a point made about, you know, making sure you manage who's around you. Because I think someone said that you're the sum total of the 5 people that around you the most. You know, as my mum always used to say to me when I was a kid, show me your friends, I'll tell you your character. And I used to think, what's mum talking about? All this nonsense. But I know exactly what she means now. I know exactly what she means, without a shadow of a doubt. So, you know, I would drive past my old spots that I used to hang around and drive past someone that I've known for years because we're not in the same place. I don't want to be talking about things I was talking to you about when I was 16 years old. You know, I'm a 40-plus-year-old man. It don't make no sense. And it's not about me thinking I'm better than them. We're just not in the same space. And that's just a harsh reality of life. You have to watch who's around you, what kind of influences you have, and make sure that, like you said, Kaz, earlier, you're always being constantly elevated. In fact, your friends should be of a quote unquote higher, in a higher position than you, for you to aspire to be like them.
Yeah, and if you're the smartest one in your group, then mate, you're not in the right group. Like, you shouldn't be. I've got people around me that are doing so much better than myself, and they inspire me every day. Because if they're not inspiring me, if they're not making me get that turn in my belly, I just don't want to be walking. I just don't want to be moving with these people, because
Simple as.
that's what life is about. And
Yeah.
I only got that realization by doing the personal development work on myself. Because in order for things to change around me, I had to do something different, and I'm still
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
it never stops. It never stops. Yeah, it never stops. It's ongoing. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Definitely.
And it has to start from self first. Definitely have to start self first.
Yeah.
And there's something else I think somebody mentioned about partners. Was it you, Earl?
It was me.
Was it you? So, I know that there's I know we're wrapping up. I understand. But is that still going on? Because I haven't really been in a partner in a long time. Is that something that's still going on?
Yeah, it's by necessity. We can't get access to loans, and a lot of us have got bad credit. So we've got, it's necessity again. It's necessity, but it's going on. It's going on.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people that benefited from it. Also, we've got credit unions as well, which operate similar-ish schemes. Yeah, high street credit unions. So yeah, it's still there. Still there.
Amazing. Alrighty. Well, I think we have now come to the end of the show, and I just want to say thank you, Earl. Thank you, Nana, for coming on the show this evening. I'm sure you guys is going to be jumping on to one of our lives in the next future, because we are still going to be continuing the conversation. I do believe we have part 2 of post-traumatic slave syndrome. I think that's in a couple of weeks' time. If you haven't seen part 1, do check it out. It's all on the on our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. Please do share the links, because there's so much content out there. We have over 142 videos from individuals who do an amazing work out in our community. And we just want to share so that we can educate ourselves, so we become the better version and we become a better community for ourselves. Do log on to Colourful Radio. I will be back on there next week, Tuesday, I believe, with Iola, Owning It with Iola. I'm not sure who the guest will be, but if you haven't listened to the previous show, which was yesterday, I was talking to 2 amazing females who are fibroids advocates. So the ladies who are suffering within this health department, do check out that show. It's on Colourful Radio, on Owning It with Iola. You can catch the replay where I interviewed Dawn Hills and Naomi Gray, who shares their journey, and it also gives some valuable tips about how you can reduce your fibroids, the methods that they went through, etc., because that's something that's not really talked about within our community. In fact, I'm going to have a show talking about it. I'm going to invite the ladies onto the show so we can have that conversation, so we can educate those on this platform, just in case anyone's suffering from it as well. Also, Janelle and I, Miss T, we will be, and we've been invited to the Sound Bank, who's a creative organization. They're going to be having their 1st year anniversary. We've been invited to go down there on the 6th of August, where we'll be doing a live podcast like this, but with a live audience, which will be you. So we need you to get your tickets. The tickets are absolutely free. It's on the 6th of August. The time is 5 to 6 p.m. There will be, I believe it's DJ Pioneer, which will be playing music down there. There's going to be Remo London. She's going to be there hosting. There's going to be loads of different creatives. It's going to be a great time to network. I believe they do have some workshop, which some of them do, there is a cost, and some of them are free, but our podcast is free. But we just need you guys to be there. So make sure that you do come down. I will share the link with that information as well. That will be in the description for you to purchase your free ticket. And I think that's it. Yeah. There's one more comment. Someone said, you know what? These, you know something? I'm getting a lot of what's it called? These what did they call it?
Trolls.
I'm getting lots of trolls. What's that all about? Do you see that? Wash.
But yes,
Look at that.
actually, wash your hands. That is a good tip. But also,
No, babe.
one hand washes the other. You can't
No,
crack with
but
the
that's
other
not what
one.
they were saying.
I
That is
know,
what
but
they
we
were
can use
saying.
it to our advantage.
Yeah. We just switch it around and make it positive, right? So I'm gonna just quickly cut the South Bank. I'm just gonna get the link so that you guys, if you're on the live, you can actually get the ticket, because what I don't want to happen is that you can't get a ticket and then you can't reach, and I just don't advertise it. So yeah, is there anything else? What's coming up for you guys? Nana, is there anything going on with Access UK? You got the upcoming events?
No, well, same old. We're trying. Well, obviously, we're still working on this whole post-pandemic Black youth unemployment stuff. You know, as per usual. We've got our Road CEO program in Brent primarily, which looks at entrepreneurship and helping our young people to set up business. We're running that, and yeah, and various other programs that are all geared towards helping young Black people. So yeah, well, same old.
Okay, cool. What about yourself, Earl? Anything coming up?
Not at the moment. There's some stuff coming up in the autumn, but I'll send you some information right now because I'm just finalizing a few things first. But I'll definitely, but just follow me on the IG as well, and for any latest sort of updates. But yeah, nothing at the moment, nothing big.
If you can share your Instagram information, your social media, because it doesn't actually appear on the screen for some bizarre reason.
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, so you just put in the chat, yeah. So I'm gonna just send it out there. Oh, which chat did you put in? Our private chat or?
Yeah.
I don't see it. It's not there. But you can. I think you're Earl J Newman 18, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So, and Nana, you can follow him on Access UK. And yeah, that's it. So thank you guys for joining us this evening. You could have been anywhere. You could have been watching what's the reality show called again?
Love Island.
Maybe some people watch Love Island. That's why they didn't join today. But Nana shaking.
I can't stand those programs.
I don't actually watch it, but I'm not gonna lie. I watch the Real Housewife of Atlanta.
Stop giving them marketing. I don't need your help.
I'm sure you do.
What?
I'm sure you know. Yeah, listen, I know lots of people around me that do, but hey, each their own.
Yeah, well, anyway, I'm not even gonna lie. I do get vexed when I watch it, but yesterday wasn't actually too bad. It wasn't too bad. They weren't cussing each other off. It was actually quite entertaining. Yeah. But it is what it is. Yeah, but I'm working on that. Just pray for my deliverance. That's what I mean.
It's hard. You know what? I was talking to a friend a few months back, and I said, "Listen, you see the social media stuff, all this stuff. It's like the new crack cocaine." You understand? And he looked to me like, he paused for a second. He's like, "You know what, Nans, you're actually right." I said, "Listen, if you try to, it's so addictive. It's on that same level. If you took away the phones from these young people for X amount of time, I don't know what kind of reaction they'll have. I feel they would just they would just lose it. So that's a new addiction. So it's easy to get drawn in. Very, very easy.
I mean, the honest truth is, when I was having therapy, my therapist did say to me that the social media, there is research to say it's actually more addictive than crack cocaine. Yeah,
there you go. So and this is something I came out with myself. So I must be on the right page.
Yeah, because when you try and come off social media, you start having withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah, indeed.
I feel like I'm gonna do, but yeah, and then I have moments when I'm like, I need to get off this thing. It's overtaking my mind, and I think we need to have a conversation about that private, like a different show about social media.
Yeah. I mean, if you're using it and it's actually empowering you and it's making you money, feeding your children and your family, so be it. This is the world we live in. But when it's just for you to just kill your time and waste your own time in your own life where you could be doing something that time to benefit yourself, and that's been taken away by you spending your time watching these people, people that don't give a damn about your life, but yet you're so interested in theirs. To me, it just don't make no sense, because I could be using that time, valuable time, to build up my own career, what I'm doing. That's the way I look at it.
But then I suppose it's another level of programming.
110%. That's exactly what it is.
And I think once you're aware about the programming, because half of these people, I think it was the social media dilemma, that show that was on Netflix. And even those who created all of the social media, like the apps and everything, they will not make their children
get those
apps. They will not do it because they know what it does, the damage.
That's exactly what it is. So if they want to let their own children do it, why am I gonna? It's just bizarre. It doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't add any. To me, it's not adding any value to my life. I'm not learning anything, which is gonna propel my life to a higher level. Because when I check it, most of them are dysfunctional anyway. If you really study their lives, sometimes I catch it. I'm thinking to myself, look how dysfunctional these people are. These people are 40 plus, 50, and they're acting like teenagers. And so yeah.
But can I also add to this? I know we're supposed to be wrapping up, but with social media, half of the people that you're following, they're not even the one that's controlling the social media. They've paid somebody to do that.
Absolutely.
Just to keep, just to be
110%.
Just to be, like
current.
Out there. Current. That's the word. Current. Just to remain current. Even with TikTok, young kids are learning, because there's people sharing valuable information on there. I share now chat show content there. That's educational. I'm just saying. So TikTok is
No, it depends how you use it. Just like anything, it depends how you take out the good of the bad. But for me personally, it's only a tool that I use to enhance what I'm doing with Access UK. Besides that, like I said, I wouldn't even know how to log on to Instagram or a Facebook. I haven't got a Scooby-Doo. The first time that a colleague of mine told me she had 1,000 odd friends on Facebook, this is years ago when it first was popping. I looked at it and I said, really? So you know all of them, these 1,000 people individually, they're all your friends? It's like, yeah, of course. I was like, all right, fair enough. If you say so. I just couldn't get my head around it.
Yeah, that's BS, because I've seen people that's supposed to be friends with me on Facebook, and I've seen them on the road, and I was like, hi, and they look at me like, no, you get me? We're friends on Facebook. Is it? That's it. So I'm just saying. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys, and have a great weekend, and we see you same place, same time next week. And make sure you subscribe and do leave a comment. Enjoy the show, and peace out. Have a great week. Bye. Peace.